Hey, I'm out on my walk. It's nice and sunny. The sun is finally out today after many days of no sun. Well, we're actually standing still right now because Tootsie's like sniffing the grass. Yep. Oh, there she goes. She found a spot. So, what do we do in this sun? Well, it's National Don't Sunburn Day. So what do we want to do? We're at SPF 30 or higher. Do you know, every 10 minutes someone in this country dies of skin cancer. Nobody should die of skin cancer. Now, one time I had a spot right here and they had to dig in and because it was cancerous, but I got rid of it and I don't have skin cancer. But that's what happens when you live in Florida. So today, make sure you go to the dermatologist, make sure you don't have anything that's unusual on your skin. And when you're outside, wear your sunscreen and make sure you get outside. See you in a few. Hi everybody, Crafting Journey here, that Journey Chick on Instagram. I'm trying on a new look today. What do you think? First of all, this is a new shirt. Oh my God, amazing. Look at the butterfly. Makeup. Yes, I do know how to do makeup, except I'm allergic to lipstick. So how are you guys today? Welcome to another edition of Crafting and Crime Daily. Oh my God, this is getting good, getting good. The testimony yesterday was, psst, oh my God, burning. Yeah, the defendant took the stand. We're going to get to that here in a few minutes. First, I sent a like button to make coffee this morning while I took my medication. He did a pretty good job. So make sure you hit the like button on your way in or out of the show today. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy the content, or consider becoming a member if you're already subscribed. And of course, the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode of Crafting and Crime Daily. Yeah, because I never know when I'm going to have it uploaded. It just, it depends. So, like, today I slept in a little. I was up pretty late last night. So I had the diamond painting out again yesterday because I was just riveted to the testimony of Catherine Magbanua. Oh my gosh. So I will tell you that the defense in the morning had, I don't know, smattering of witnesses. All law enforcement officers, they're just determined that their theory of the case is that Luis Rivera had enough information through discovery that had occurred prior to the deal he cut with the prosecutor for him to make up the story about Catherine. And none of these law enforcement officers were buying it. They're like, nope, no. There's enough evidence for us to be convinced that she was the person that delivered the money the day after the murder. Yeah. So what did Catherine have to say? Oh my word. So first we got to get a little background on Catherine. She grew up in Miami. She met Luis
Sigfredo, not
she was
Louis.
in high school. He was already graduated. I don't think he went to that high school, but she met him through friends. They became fast friends while she's still in high school. And she was living at home with her parents, and they become boyfriend and girlfriend, and then she decides she's going to go to college. She wanted to get away from home, so she goes to the University of Central Florida, which is in Orlando. So she goes to college there, and he follows her up there. And she said he was doing construction all the time. He was following her. I'm going to work on this painting while I talk to you about this, because this could get lengthy. All right. So while she's going to school in Orlando, they're living together. She calls him her husband, even though they are not legally married. He calls her his wife. So much for the sanctity of marriage. My word. Oh God, I had to do that. Oh, where did that come from? I won't do that again. I promise. Okay. straight face. So she gets pregnant. So she has her first baby in Orlando in Winter Park Hospital. And after she graduates, she gets a business degree. No, wait. She gets a bachelor's degree in health administration. That's a good degree to have, actually. Then they move back to Miami, where he gets a job in construction, and they find a place to live. And it wasn't clear to me. I don't know if she was pregnant with her second child when they moved down, but anyway, she gets pregnant again with baby number 2 and has a girl. So now she's got 2 children by Sigfredo Garcia. Now she's working at a place called Sophie Dental, and Charlie Adelson comes in because he's a periodontist. He's a specialist, and if you guys know anything about going to the dentist, if you need a specialist, you'll either have to go to their office, the periodontal office, or sometimes they will come to your dental office. I've had it both ways. So Charlie Adelson would travel around. So he would come to Sophie Dental as a specialist. So he wasn't there every day. He was in and out, whenever they needed him. And so he met her. She was working the front desk, doing scheduling, collecting money, verifying insurance. And he kept bugging her he tried to put his phone number into her phone and kept bugging her to go out with him. Now, there is a point in time where she and Sigfredo break up, and so she decides she's going to date Charlie Adelson. She maintains that throughout this period of time that she's dating Charlie Adelson, that she is working as at 2 different lounges, Fate and Hollywood Live, at different points in time. And she gets the dates confused. And this woman, if I had $1 for every time she said, I don't remember, I don't recall, I don't recollect, we'd be very rich. Oh my God. She couldn't remember a gosh darn thing from, it's been 8 years. It's been 8 years. Yes, we know it's been 8 years. So she talked about how, she knows that it looks really bad, but, people are taking everything out of context. So tell us what the context is. No, we don't get to know what the context is. So on cross-examination, sparks were flying. Oh, God, this prosecutor did a fabulous job. And I think she's kind of new to the profession, and she did a wonderful job. I will tell you that. And I could be wrong. Maybe she's not new, but she did so good. So she went right to the cash deposits. Let's talk about these cash deposits. How is it that in 2014, after the murder of Dan Markel, you have more cash deposits than you had in the year prior to that? I don't know. I don't remember having large cash deposits. And then she said, Sigfredo would bring her cash every now and then, and she would deposit that. Well, she was refreshed that in prior testimony she had said that she felt like if he brought her $1,000, that was a pretty large amount. So the prosecutor's like, well, what if he brought you $5,000? Wouldn't you consider that a large amount? And she's like, I don't remember. And, she just wouldn't give them an inch. I don't remember. Well, wouldn't you remember if somebody came up to you and gave you $5,000 in cash? I would remember it, even if it was my baby's daddy. I don't make that much money. I probably make more money than she did, but I would still remember if someone gave me a large amount of money. And the prosecutor said, sometimes you are making these large cash deposits on the same day in different banks. Can you explain that? I don't remember that. I don't recall. Do you have something to show that to refresh my memory? What? How do you not remember these things? So then the prosecutor pointed out, and she went step by step. First of all, how is it that the two employees don't remember you and you worked for Dan Markel? I don't know. I wasn't in the office. I was remote. I was his personal assistant. Okay, what did you do for him? So she says, I made appointments for him and did whatever, whenever he would call, I knew, he would ask me to do stuff, I would do it. Well, like what? Well, he asked me to call somebody to set up his website. Oh, okay. So the prosecutor pulls up the text where he asked her to set up his website. And this was prior to her going on the payroll of the Adelson Institute. So she's like, okay, what else did you do for him? Give me an example. I don't recall. It's been 8 years. I don't recall. So did you make Oh, no, I didn't make patient appointments. Did you do anything through the website? No, I didn't. And we know you didn't clean his office. No, I wasn't cleaning his office. I was his personal assistant. He would just call me. Did you know his schedule? I don't remember. So then they showed her texts of when she would text him during this period of time that she was his personal assistant, where she'd ask him, hey, how's it going? How's work? Have you had any vacation lately? What? You're his personal assistant. How do you not know these things? Yeah, her credibility was really going down the tank fast. She said, I was only on the payroll to get insurance. This was a favor he was doing for me. Okay, yeah. So then she went step by step. After the murder, he broke up with her. He ghosted her. But she was still working as his personal assistant. She's like, how is that possible? You guys break up. She goes, well, we stayed friends. Oh, okay. So you worked for him, but you didn't do anything that you can remember. You can't remember anything that you did. But didn't he pay for a trip for you and your family, your kids, to go to Santo Domingo? Yeah, this was after the murder, after they broke up, while she's his personal assistant. Yeah, he did. Didn't he offer to send you and your mom on a cruise? Yeah, he did. We didn't go. We didn't take the offer. But yeah, he offered. Weren't you driving the Lexus that he gave you? Yeah, I wasn't. Didn't he pay for all the repairs? Yeah, it was in really poor condition, so he offered to pay for all of the repairs. He gave her the name of a mechanic, and whenever she needed her car or the Lexus fixed, he'd call up the mechanic, take her car over there, and Charlie would pay. Oh, no, I got it covered, honey. I got it. Whatever you need, I got it covered, he would tell her. He would call in prescriptions for her. Now, later on during redirect, the defense pointed out that she, at one time, had been a patient of his. So, she had her wisdom teeth pulled. And so this was a prescription for Vicodin that had been called in. Okay. Did he pay for it was called catered fit meal. Did he pay for, I think it's one of those meal subscription things. Did he pay for that for you? All of this is after the murder. Yeah, he did. And you had a $4,000 breast implant after the murder, after you broke up with Charlie Adelson. Yeah. But I've been saving up for that. Now, she didn't have enough money to get her kids insurance, but she's saving up for her breast implants. Yeah. So she tried very hard to say that these large amounts of cash deposits were from her job as a bartender and waitress at these clubs. But, she said it was from people who paid cash. Well, you heard the club owner. The club owner came in and said that 90% of his business was credit card. Yeah, but the cash was a lot, and apparently the credit card stuff bounced. She refused to concede that this club was not doing well. She's like, no, I did really well there. I made a lot of money there. Okay. So she she had no way of explaining this large influx of cash after the murder of Dan Markel in July of 2014. She wasn't working, other than being Charlie's personal assistant and doing nothing. Sigfredo didn't give her any money, and she couldn't recall. I don't recall those large amounts of cash. She didn't recall. Pretty incredible. So now they go on to address the Dolce Vita tape. Now this is where she and Charlie go to the restaurant to discuss the bump where Charlie's mother was approached by an FBI agent and basically was asking for $5,000 to keep quiet about, he says, like, I know you're helping out Katie and Tuto's family. You need to help out my friend, which was Tato. I don't know, Tato. I don't know which one is which. So this is a restaurant, and on direct, her attorney was leading her all over the place. She didn't answer a single question on her own. She was just led. And at one point, the judge even warned her, you're really asking a lot of leading questions. She's like, oh, I'm so used to as a defendant, I'm so used to asking the leading question. I'll try not to do that, Your Honor. And then she goes back to asking leading questions. But what she led her into was that you don't know anything about this conversation at Dolce Vita because the microphone wasn't pointed towards you. No, it was pointed toward Charlie, and they were focused on Charlie and not me. And so I don't remember what I said because they couldn't refresh my memory of what I said. Now, her attorney was very, careful to point out that during this meeting at Dolce Vita, the murder was never mentioned. No. The Dan Markel's name was never mentioned. No. Did he ever mention Tallahassee? No. So we know during this meeting that Charlie was trying to give her instructions on calling this person back. That the person gave them a sheet of paper with a phone number on, and he was trying to give her instructions about calling this person back and what exactly to say. So all of this was played for the defendant. And then she was asked, what was your understanding why you were making this phone call? She says, I have no idea. I don't know why he was asking me to make his phone call. I don't know why he didn't make his own phone call. I don't know why he needed me to make the phone call. Complete innocent. I had no idea why she was going to make this phone call. Why did you have Sigfredo make the phone call? Well, they mentioned Sigfredo's name, so I had Sigfredo make the phone call. So, of course, we know neither of them made the phone call. It was actually Charlie who eventually made the phone call. The prosecutor played back several areas of that restaurant tape for Katie, and everybody would put the headphones on and they would listen to certain clips from this tape. And then the prosecutor would say, what is he talking about there? I don't know. He would talk in metaphors. I have no idea what he was talking about. It was just a metaphor. A metaphor? Okay. So why didn't you go to law enforcement? Well, what was I going to tell law enforcement? That somebody handed my friend a piece of paper and with a phone number on it and amount of money, and I would look stupid. Why, if I just walk into the police department and say, this is what happened to a friend of mine's mother. So all during this question, she maintained, no matter what the question was, she had no idea what Charlie was talking about. No clue, and the prosecutor said to her, why didn't you just at one point he says, I will pay as much money as it takes to get rid of this thing. Just have your boyfriend kill this person. And she says, oh, he was talking about a metaphor. And she says, well, why were you not outraged by this? Kill somebody. Why didn't you just get up from the table and walk away? Kill somebody? And she's like, well, I probably should have, but I didn't. So it was just a metaphor. That's the way Charlie talked, in metaphors. And then she was asked to explain, why they always talked in code during their phone calls. Well, because the phone calls would happen while we were at work, or I had the kids around. And so when you were talking to Sigfredo, why were you talking in code? Well, that's just the way we talked it, because you were just exchanging a phone number. Why would you need to, what's wrong with the kids hearing what the phone number is? Why'd you need to talk in code? Did you think that the police were listening in? No, I didn't think the police were listening in. You didn't think your phones were bugged? No, I didn't think my phones were bugged. Then she describes her arrest and how she had, when she found out she was a suspect, she hired an attorney, and the attorney had told the prosecutor, if there's ever a warrant, just tell us and my client will turn herself in. Well, instead, they waited till she was out one day shopping in this mall, and all of a sudden she gets in her car to drive away, and she's surrounded by police officers, and she peed in her pants. She was so terrified, which I think is a little overkill. If she had agreed that she would go in, she knew she was a suspect and she hadn't fled. What she did do was she packed up all her things, and the prosecutor said, didn't you pack up all your things and you moved somewhere else? She said, well, I didn't, or didn't you have someone pack up all your things? Like, you never went back home. No, I had someone do it for me because, she'd had the breast implants. I wasn't allowed to lift anything. So I don't know where she went, to her mother's house. I'm not sure where she went, but she didn't go back home. I think she was afraid for her and her boys. So an interesting thing was the prosecutor said, you think Charlie Adelson's guilty of this, don't you? And she said, yes, I do. And you think Sigfredo Garcia is guilty of this? Yes, I do. But she remembers none of this. She didn't have nothing to do with it. Nope. It's all a coincidence. Everything is a coincidence. The fact that her phone pinged near the rental car area the same time a car was rented to go commit these murders, total coincidence. She had friends that lived in that area. Yeah, total coincidence. She doesn't remember, sitting in the car talking to Charlie about the murder, even though they have them on tape sitting in the car. She doesn't remember any of that. And she was asked, shouldn't Charlie come forward and tell the jury you had nothing to do with this? And she said, yes, he should. And I got the impression that she was a little pissed off that they had waited till a month before her trial to arrest Charlie Adelson. She said, they did it based on the enhancement of this Dolce Vita tape. When I had told him what was in that tape 3 years ago when I testified, and it's the same information, so why didn't you arrest him then? Now, I've been sitting in jail for 6 years. Yeah. I tell you what, I was willing to give her the benefit of the doubt until I heard her testimony. And then I was like, oh, there's no way. There's no way that this intelligent, smart woman cannot remember all this. There's just no way. And then her attorney on redirect gets up and says, now, isn't there a reason why you can't remember everything? And I thought, ooh, what's that? Didn't you have COVID twice since the last trial, since you've been in jail? COVID? You're blaming your memory loss on COVID? I mean, there is some evidence that when you're during and while you're recovering from COVID, you can have brain fog. But really? Oh my God. I just thought that was really reaching. Really, really reaching. Oh my God. Another interesting thing I found pointed out was, the prosecutor said, we have phone calls between you and Lewis and you and Garcia on the day, the day those 2 Tallahassee trips were made. Now, you don't usually call Lewis and Garcia on the same days. She's like, why don't your phone records show any other calls on any other days to Lewis Garcia? She's like, I don't know. I don't remember. But I thought it was very interesting. It was only these days that she's calling Lewis Rivera. Never called Lewis Rivera any other time. But on these days, she calls Lewis Rivera. I guess it was that and the fact that she would sit in this restaurant while Charlie goes on and on and on about this bump by the FBI, and she could actually sit there and have no idea what he's talking about. Why would you sit there for an hour and not know what he's talking about? At one point, wouldn't you say, hey, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are all these metaphors for? She never did that. So she must have known what the heck he was talking about. At least I would think she knew what he was talking about. So today, closing arguments. Defense rests their case. They didn't put on Sigfredo Garcia like we thought. The prison system had moved him to Tallahassee in preparation for him to testify. He wasn't listed as a witness, but he had been moved to Tallahassee in case they wanted him. But they didn't put him on the stand. Probably would not have helped her case at all. She buried herself with her own testimony. Completely buried herself. Drop the mic, right? She buried herself. And so we have closing arguments today, and we will be on verdict watch. So I will go live. I'm here. I'm home all day. Got nowhere to go, nowhere to be. I don't start work back till June 6th. So I'm going to go live when this verdict comes on, unless they sneak it in on me. Sometimes they sneak it in, but I'm going to try to be on top of it and make sure that I can go live for you guys. And we'll watch the verdict together. It should be very interesting. Yeah. So, what happened this day in history? A murder suspect spends 3 days on top of a crane. And now I have photos of this. I covered this last year. I just think it's just so weird. So weird. This guy he beats the tar out of his girlfriend, kills her, and then the police find her body, and they send out an arrest warrant for him. They can't find him anywhere. He shows up the next day at this Atlanta construction site on top of this crane, where he spends the next 3 days before they can get him down. So he's up 18 stories on this crane. Business is interrupted. Traffic's interrupted. Now, police didn't want him falling asleep on this crane, so they positioned a loudspeaker near him so that if they thought he was going to fall asleep, they would, use this loudspeaker to wake him up, because they thought if he falls asleep, he's going to fall off this crane. So eventually, he disassembles the loudspeaker. It was a siren. He disassembled it. Probably pretty annoying, huh? So after 56 hours of no food and water, he agrees to accept some water from the authorities. And as he's edging towards the police to get this water, they taser him, tackle him, and restrain him. He was then loaded onto a stretcher and lowered 350 feet to the ground. He was later found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. Not without that great adventure first. Crazy. All right, that is the show for today, guys. So we're on verdict watch today. Plus, I got to check in with Mickey. She's not been feeling well. If she's feeling up to having a show tonight, I'll probably be on the show with her. Mickey Sunshine Creates. That's at 6:30 p.m. Central. So if not, I'll see you tomorrow in Crafting and Crime Daily. Bye.